So in this video, I'll be explaining about a salamander which I found in South Central PA. Um, I didn't know what it was at the time. I just took a quick photo. I didn't really examine it closely or observe it closely. I simply flipped a log, and I just figured it was a mole salamander, which was in its juvenile stage. And in the rest of this video, you'll see what I thought I found and then what it turned out to be. So stay tuned. And this is the only video I took of that salamander. So in the middle of September, I was flipping some rocks and logs at some vernal pools in South Central Pennsylvania, and I actually found over 50 marbled salamanders that day. Also found some spotted salamanders, and they were in various stages, some juvenile, some adults. And I flipped this particular log, and I found this weird-looking mole salamander. I knew it was a mole salamander based on the shape of its body, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. Just thinking it was like an abnormal marbled or spotted. I didn't think anything of it. I also thought it could be a Jefferson. So, like I said, didn't think too much of it, and I really got one picture, and I got another picture where I blew it up a little. But if you can see, it looks like it has small blue spots all over it. So I know it's not the best photo, but in this picture you can see the blue spots on the juvenile mole salamander. Like I said, I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I knew it had to be a Jefferson spotted or marbled, and I have found all three of those salamanders at these particular vernal pools. So as I mentioned before, I didn't think anything of it, but the next couple slides, you'll see what I did, and I'll explain more about it. So as I mentioned, here is a marbled salamander. I found over 50 that day, and they're pretty beautiful if you ask me. So not knowing what I found, I figured I would submit this particular salamander to iNaturalist. iNaturalist is an app where you can submit findings, and other members of the iNaturalist community will comment and identify the species for you. And in this particular case, it was identified as a unisexual mole salamander complex. Now, I know that iNaturalists, they're not like official biologists, and they're just going based off of a picture. They're not like doing genetic testing. They don't have the animal in hand. So it's not really official. It's unofficial. But like I said, I didn't know what it was. Figured I'd submit it and see what they said. And in this particular case, they said it was a unisexual mole salamander complex. I had never heard of this. So as I mentioned, multiple users or naturalists on iNaturalist identified it as a unisexual mole salamander complex. This had me to research more, and I'll talk about a little bit later about what a unisexual mole salamander complex is. It's kind of like a weird hybrid in the mole salamander family. So other mole salamanders, like I mentioned before, the spotted salamander here, which I was thinking it could possibly be a juvenile of that, and it had abnormal colors. Could also have been a Jefferson, which you see here, which does have some small blue spots or flecks on its body. Another mole salamander I thought it could be was a blue spotted salamander, but when you look at the range, blue spotted, according to PARS, Pennsylvania's reptile and amphibian website, the blue spotted salamanders were nowhere near close to Franklin County in South Central PA where I found the salamander. So even though I looked up pictures of a blue spotted salamander that were juvenile and looked similar to the salamander I found, I thought it wasn't possible based on the range. And you can see the range here in Pennsylvania. The recordings for blue spotted salamanders are nowhere near Franklin County. So here's a picture of a unisexual mole salamander complex. And what is a unisexual mole salamander complex? It's an all-female mole salamander population where the females receive sperm from a co-occurring related species to fertilize the eggs and initiate development. The eggs will then discard the sperm genome and develop asexually, but they can also incorporate the genome from the sperm into the offspring. So a unique sexual or asexual reproduction pattern seen in mole salamanders. You can see a picture of one there. They have like those small blue spots. So that's what I naturalists thought this salamander was. But in the next clip, I'll reveal what it was. I shared the mole salamander and the situation to many different Facebook sites, and it turned out to be a marbled salamander. So as I mentioned, the salamander, which I thought was a weird mole salamander, which then I thought was a unisexual mole salamander complex, just turned out to be a regular juvenile marbled salamander. Like I said, I used a couple resources to get to my answer, but I'm confident that it was a marbled salamander and not a unisexual mole salamander complex. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about salamanders.